Let me tell you a quiet truth most men never hear until it's too late. There's a silent game happening around you, right now. Not loud, not obvious, but powerful. It's not being played with words or confessions. It's a dance of glances, a rhythm of body shifts, a language written in breath and silence. And here's what most men miss. The signals you're waiting for, they're already here. They're just not coming in the language you expect. You think attraction announces itself with flirtation or compliments, but the truth? The real signals are buried deep in behavior, subtle, quiet, often unconscious. Over the last 10 years, I've spent more time than I'd like to admit watching these patterns unfold. Not just in books, but in coffee shops, gyms, workspaces, moments between glances at the dinner table. And what I've learned is this: there are two signs, two subtle patterns, that show when a woman isn't just into you. She's deeply, obsessively drawn to you, sometimes against her better judgment. She won't say it. She may not even realize it herself. But her body will tell you if you know how to read it. And that's why we're here. Because there could be someone in your life right now, a colleague, a friend, someone you see every Thursday morning at the cafe, and she's sending you signals you're blind to. That ends today. No more walking past hidden opportunities. No more ignoring the language you were never taught to understand. Today, I'll give you what I wish I had earlier in life. The ability to walk into a room and know, without a word, who's already drawn to you. Because desire doesn't always speak, but it always leaks, in her breath, in her posture, in how she mirrors you without even knowing. Once you recognize these two signs, it'll feel like a veil lifting, like you've stepped into a secret world you never knew existed. And suddenly, things will click. The cold shoulder, not cold at all, just a test. That delayed text, a calculated pullback to measure your strength. The way she mentions someone else just as you lean in. Not rejection, it's a trigger to see what you'll do with it. This isn't about tricks, and it's not about chasing approval. This is about understanding. Reading signals written in biology, not behavior. Because attraction, at its core, isn't a choice. It's a survival instinct. And once you can read it, you stop chasing, you start choosing. Welcome to the Stoic spirit. We don't deal in games. We don't chase validation. We study the truth beneath behavior. And today, you're going to learn the first two codes of that truth. Before we begin, if this already resonates, subscribe to the channel. Because every week we explore the real psychology of attraction, power, and calm, masculine presence. Drop a comment below with the word decode if you're ready to read what others can't even see. Because after this, you won't look at women the same way again. Now, let's begin with sign 1. Sign 1. The mirror in the silence. Sometimes, a woman doesn't say how she feels, but her body does. Not in grand gestures, not in dramatic scenes, but in the quiet way her rhythm begins to match yours. When a woman is deeply drawn to a man, something silent takes over. It's not planned, it's not conscious, it's primal. She starts to mirror you. At first, you won't notice. But once you do, it's unmistakable. She echoes your movements, your tone, your posture, your breathing, not because she's trying to impress you, but because her biology is reacting. And this is not just theory. In 2003, researchers from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology published a groundbreaking study. They called it social glue. The idea is simple. When we mimic each other unconsciously, gestures, expressions, vocal patterns, we build connection, trust, even desire. Their research found that mirroring creates an instant sense of closeness, and the more emotional pull there is, the faster and more accurate the mirroring becomes. So if a woman finds herself syncing with you, frame by frame, without even realizing it, that's not coincidence. That's her subconscious tuning into you. Now, let's make this real. Picture a quiet cafe. You're sitting across from her. The light is soft, the air still. You lean in slightly to speak. 3 seconds later, she does too. You rub your chin while thinking, and not long after, her fingers touch her cheek. You pause. She pauses. It's as if something invisible is dancing between you, mirroring breath for breath. Even blinking falls into rhythm. You blink. She follows. Not instantly, but in harmony. This isn't just poetic, it's biological resonance. And here's the deeper layer. The stronger her attraction, the shorter the delay between your gesture and hers. So how do you test this? Start simple. Spend the first 5 minutes just watching. Her natural posture, gestures, expressions, this is her baseline. Then, change something deliberately. Lean back, cross your arms, shift your body. Wait. Does she adjust her posture within a few seconds? Next, go even more subtle. Scratch your wrist, tilt your head, touch your watch. Does she mirror these small movements shortly after? If so, you're not just having a conversation. You're sharing a subconscious experience. But here's what most men don't realize. Mirroring works both ways. You can lead or follow. If you match her breathing pattern during a calm conversation, you create a non-verbal bond that bypasses her logical brain. It speaks to something deeper, something emotional, something instinctual. Think of it as tuning your presence to her frequency. When you do this right, you make her feel seen without saying a word. Now, one fascinating variation is delayed mirroring. Let's say she reflects your action, but 30 to 60 seconds later. That delay isn't rejection, it's resistance. It means her body feels the pull, but her mind is holding back, fighting what it's starting to feel. In that space of hesitation, her body betrays what her words won't say. And that's the beauty of it. Words can deceive. Intentions can be hidden, but the body whispers truths it cannot conceal. Mirroring is one of those whispers. It's how attraction leaks out through the cracks in logic. So what do? You don't call it out. You don't react. You simply observe. You stay calm, still, unshaken. Because the Stoic man doesn't chase validation. He reads what others miss. He listens with his eyes, and he understands that sometimes the body speaks the language the soul is afraid to say aloud. Sign 2, the silent jealousy test. Sometimes when a woman starts to truly feel something for you, she won't confess it in words. She'll test it. And you, not with logic, but with emotion. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because deep down, she needs to know what kind of man you really are. This test often arrives dressed as distance, indifference, or even discomfort. But beneath that surface is something powerful, desire that's unsure of safety. It's called the jealousy trap, and most men fail it. Let's walk through it slowly, because this one moves in silence. Phase 1, the subtle retreat. You're having a good time, talking, laughing, and then, out of nowhere, she says something like, "Oh, your friend Sarah seems cool. You two close?" Or maybe she sees you chatting with another woman. And suddenly, the mood shifts. She crosses her arms, takes a step back, shortens her answers. Most men at this moment panic. They assume she's pulling away, so they chase harder or try to fix things. But what's really happening is ancient. Her nervous system, millions of years of evolution, is scanning your reaction for emotional strength, not with words, but with space. It's not rejection, it's an invitation to prove you're steady. Phase 2, the probe. After the retreat comes the test. She'll say things that feel harmless on the surface, but are crafted to pierce beneath. You probably like girls like her, right? She seems more your type. These are not statements. They're questions in disguise. And your answer, verbal or non-verbal, tells her everything she needs to know. This is where most men fall apart. They get defensive, over-explain, try to clarify, but the Stoic response? Calm, minimal, unshaken. She's cool, or maybe even, yeah, she's attractive. Not because you're trying to provoke jealousy, but because you have nothing to prove. And that silence, that unbothered space, screams value louder than any words ever could. Phase 3, the proximity play. Here's where it gets interesting. She starts standing closer to other men when you're nearby, mentions someone who asked her out, talks louder so you can hear her joke with another guy, and then she glances, quick, subtle, barely a second, but her eyes flick to you. What she's doing, without realizing it, is creating a scenario to gauge one thing. Will you break? Will you react with jealousy? Will you lose composure? Will you become possessive? If you do, she pulls back, because now you've shown insecurity. But if you stay still, If you watch with a soft smile and no tension in your body, you pass the test. That's when the shift happens. She returns, touches your arm, finds a reason to laugh near you again, re-engages physically because the test is complete. You didn't flinch. And that stillness, that quiet self-possession, triggers more dopamine and oxytocin in her brain than any compliment ever could. She felt it. You're solid. You're rare. Why this happens? You might wonder, why all this? Why not just say what she feels? Because feelings are delicate, and vulnerability is risk, especially in attraction. So instead, biology speaks, not through declarations, but through defense mechanisms built over millennia. Testing is safety, jealousy is pressure, but your reaction is everything. The man who can stay centered, who doesn't seek reassurance or react emotionally, proves his internal strength. And that's what she craves. Not the reaction, but the restraint. Everyday examples. You'll see this everywhere once your eyes adjust. The barista who mentions her boyfriend after you flirt. Not a shutdown, but a challenge. The co-worker who says, "You've been talking to her a lot lately," when she used to ignore your presence. These are not dead ends. They're detours, designed to see if you stay on course. The Stoic spirit response. You don't engage the game. You don't explain. You don't defend. You observe. You nod. You smile. Because power doesn't shout. It breathes slowly and watches everything. The Stoic man understands. In these quiet moments, value is declared without noise. From chaste to chosen. This is how you move from chasing to being chased. By recognizing the test and refusing to take the bait. You show her something 95% of men can't. Calm under fire. Stability in the storm. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Not because you tried harder, but because you reacted less. And in that stillness, she found her answer. So now you understand what looked like distance was really a test. What felt like confusion was actually her curiosity asking, "Is he worth trusting with my heart?" The rare man stays still. He doesn't chase. He simply allows her to see who he is when tested. And in that silence, she feels safe. She feels drawn. She feels something rare, respect for your presence. So tell me, have you mistaken a test for rejection before? Comment below with the word "still" if you're ready to stay grounded the next time this happens. And if this lesson spoke to you, tap like to let us know you're walking the Stoic path. Subscribe to the Stoic Spirit for more insights into masculine presence, emotional strength, and the psychology of attraction. And remember, sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Before we part, I want you to take a moment and reflect. What you've just learned isn't a trick, It's not a tactic, it's truth. The kind of truth that most men never get to hear. Not because it's hidden, but because no one ever taught them how to see it. Attraction isn't magic. It's pattern, it's biology, it's psychology shaped by centuries of evolution. Now you see it. You've taken a step 95% of men never take. You've learned to read between the lines, to notice what's unsaid, and that makes all the difference. So if this opened your eyes, share it with one man in your life who still thinks she's just not interested. Maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your closest friend, someone who deserves clarity more than comfort. And if this message grounded something in you, tap that like button to let us know you're walking the path. Subscribe for deeper insights into masculine presence and silent power. And remember, the strongest signals aren't shouted, they're whispered. In glances, pauses, and tests, most will never recognize. But you will, because now you've started to see with Stoic eyes. She doesn't reject you, she just delays you. She doesn't say no, but she never really says yes either. She keeps the door slightly open, just enough for you to keep hoping. You call. She answers, sometimes. You text. She replies, short, delayed, vague. And when you try to meet, there's always a reason she can't. But here's what stings most. She never actually pushes you away. She keeps you in orbit. Not close enough to matter, not far enough to forget. And you fill in the blanks. Maybe she's scared. Maybe it's bad timing. Maybe she just needs one more sign that I'm serious. But if she wanted you, you'd know. You wouldn't be analyzing messages at 1 a.m., wondering what that emoji meant, or replaying the way she laughed at dinner. You wouldn't feel like you're always giving, and she's just tolerating. A Stoic man doesn't chase clarity from confusion. He sees hesitation as an answer. He trusts what isn't said more than what is. So ask yourself, are you investing in a woman who's truly choosing you? Or are you just the emotional placeholder until someone better comes along? The signs are already there. Now it's time to see them for what they are. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how to spot the difference between genuine interest and subtle manipulation that wastes your time and chips away at your worth. Sign number 1. She responds, but with no effort. You send a thoughtful message. She replies with, LOL. You ask a question that opens space for connection. She gives you one word, nothing more. And yet, you keep trying. You double text. You send memes. You ask how her day was. It feels like shouting across a canyon, and only hearing the echo of your own effort. Here's the truth most men ignore. When a woman is truly interested, you won't have to pull her in. She'll meet you halfway. She'll ask questions back. She'll offer details, stories, emotion. Because women who care engage. They want to keep the energy flowing. But when all you get are empty replies, dry, late, flat, she's not being shy. She's being distant. And the biggest mistake? Trying harder. Most men believe effort will fix it. But with the wrong woman, more effort only digs a deeper hole. The Stoic man doesn't chase words without warmth. He listens not just to what is said, but to how it's said. If her words are cold, her interest is colder. Pull back. Match her silence with your own. Because a woman who truly wants you won't let the conversation die quietly. Sign 2. She's hot and cold. One day, she lights up when she sees your name. The next, she's a ghost behind the screen. Slow replies, distant tone, barely present. It's not random. It's not confusion. It's a strategy. Some women don't test with words. They test with inconsistency, to see how far you'll stretch when they pull back. They want to know, will you chase harder if she turns away? Will you beg for warmth after she turns cold? It's not affection, it's a performance, and the audience is your attention. Here's where most men fail. They adjust themselves to fit her moods. They think, if I just try a little more, she'll come back. But a stoic man sees through the game. He doesn't mirror chaos, he interrupts it. When faced with hot and cold behavior, he names it. He speaks calmly. You're sending mixed signals. If you're interested, that's great. If not, that's okay too. This isn't confrontation. It's clarity, and clarity is magnetic. A woman who respects you will adjust. A woman who is just playing will vanish. Either way, you win. Sign 3. She keeps canceling plans. She says she wants to see you. She even sounds excited. But somehow, when the day arrives, something always comes up. A work thing, a last-minute errand. She's just not feeling it today. It's easy to give her the benefit of the doubt, to think life gets busy. She means well. But here's what a stoic man knows. When a woman truly wants to be with you, she finds time, not excuses. 1 cancellation? Sure, life happens. 2, maybe. But 3, that's not chaos. That's a choice. You're not on her calendar. You're just her backup plan. And the more you keep rescheduling, the more you teach her that your time is flexible, that your value is negotiable. So here's the move. If she cancels twice, you stop reaching out. You leave the next move in her hands. And if she never follows through, you just got your answer without saying a word. That's silence. It speaks louder than any apology. Sign 4. She only talks to you when it's convenient. Days pass, no message, no call. Silence. Then suddenly, she appears. Not because she missed you, but because she's bored, lonely, or needs something. It feels random, but it's not. Some women don't keep you around because they want a relationship. They keep you because you're useful, a spark of attention when their world feels dull. You're not the story. You're a side scene. A moment she rewinds to when the main plot isn't giving her what she craves. Ask yourself, does she ever text you out of excitement? Does she check in just to see how you're doing? Does she offer energy or only drain it? Because here's the truth. If she only reaches out when she's low, she's not looking for connection. She's looking for a refill. A woman who values you doesn't disappear when she's full. She stays. She shows up in the quiet, not just the empty. And when you realize you're being used as an emotional vending machine, step back quietly. If she doesn't chase that silence, you've just learned your place in her life without ever asking the question. Sign 5. She talks about other men in front of you. You're talking to her. Things seem light, maybe even flirty. Then, out of nowhere, she mentions another man. Not just once. His name keeps coming up. Could be an old flame, a co-worker, or some stranger at the gym. She laughs when she talks about him, says how charming or funny he is. But don't get distracted by the details. This moment isn't about him, it's about you. There are only two reasons why she's doing this. Either she sees you as safe, just a friend, someone she can casually chat with because there's no tension, or she's testing you. Some women do this to measure your reaction. Will you flinch? Will you try to prove you're better than him? Will you show jealousy? Because if you do, she knows she controls the emotional temperature. And you've lost ground. But a Stoic man doesn't play that game. He doesn't react. He observes. If she brings up another guy, let her talk. Then shift the spotlight. Share a story that lights you up. Mention a woman who admired your work or laughed at your joke. Not to provoke, just to rebalance. If she's truly interested, you'll see the shift. Her eyes sharpen, the tone changes, the other guy disappears. If she doesn't adjust, she never saw you that way to begin with. And now you know. Sign 6. She never gets personal with you. Think back to a real conversation, the kind that stayed with you long after it ended. You talked about fears, dreams, childhood scars, things too real to fake. Now compare that to what you have with her. The dialogue is always light. Jokes, TV shows, weekend plans. She laughs, nods, smiles, but never lets you in. There's no glimpse beneath the surface, no truth, no depth. And here's what most men miss. When a woman keeps things surface level, it's not by accident. It's distance disguised as charm. Because when a woman trusts you, she opens doors you didn't even know existed. But when every word feels rehearsed, you're not standing in her heart. You're pacing the lobby, want to test the waters, share something real, a failure, a breakthrough, a scar you carry with pride. Then watch her, not her words, her energy. Does she soften, lean in, reveal something of her own? Or does she change the subject, brush past the weight of your truth, and pull you back into small talk? If so, stop reaching. Because if she won't go deep with you, she was never planning to stay long. Sign 7. She's only affectionate when it benefits her. She leans in close. When she's sad, she holds your arm. When she's tired of the silence, she laughs a little louder. When the room feels empty, it feels real in the moment, but it always fades just as quickly. She's not offering connection, she's offering a taste, a carefully placed gesture, a soft glance, a compliment, just enough to keep you there, wondering what it means. This isn't affection, it's currency. She's spending warmth to keep your attention, not to build something real. Want to know the truth? Watch when she's happy. Watch when she's fulfilled. Does her affection remain? Or does it vanish the moment she no longer needs your energy? Because real connection isn't conditional. It stays. Even when it's not convenient. Even when nothing is needed in return. So don't be fooled by sweetness that only shows up in sorrow. A woman who wants you will reach for you, even in the calm. Sign 8. She doesn't prioritize seeing you. When a woman truly wants to see you, She will. Not when it's convenient, not when her schedule clears, but because your presence matters. Now look closer. She says she's busy, too tired, swamped with work. But somehow, she still has time for brunch with friends, late-night stories on Instagram, or dinner with people who aren't you. You're not forgotten. You're simply not prioritized. And the worst thing you can do, keep trying. Keep adjusting your time for someone who won't bend theirs. Because here's what men forget. Attention is effortless when the desire is real. Presence isn't a puzzle to be solved. So stop chasing explanations. Stop accepting crumbs. Watch what she does when you go silent. Will she move closer or just move on? The answer is already there. She's just hoping. You don't look too closely. Time isn't just something you spend. It's something you never get back. So if she's sending mixed signals, if you're constantly wondering where you stand, the answer is already clear. A man of value doesn't beg for attention, doesn't chase for clarity. He observes, he decides, he walks without noise, without need, because silence often says what words refuse to. So if this message hit you where it matters, hit that like button and share it with a brother who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to see through the noise, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit. We're here every week for men who choose strength over confusion. Until next time, guard your time, honor your energy, and never shrink to fit a space you were never meant for.